The plea in the smoke asterisk. The battlefield was full of smoke, fire, and broken machines. The sky was red like blood, and screams echoed in the distance. Buildings had fallen, and the ground was shaking as if the planet itself was crying, "Eric, a human field." Medic ran through the chaos. His uniform was torn, and his face was covered in sweat and dirt. He had no weapon, only a med kit and a strong will to help whoever needed it. He was trained to save lives, not take them. Suddenly he heard something strange. A weak voice calling from the ruins. He stopped and turned toward the sound. Carefully he moved closer, stepping over broken metal and shattered glass. The voice came again, softer this time. "Please, someone help me." Eric finally reached the source, and what he saw made him freeze. A silver-skinned alien woman was lying on the ground, blood dripping from her leg. Her long hair was tangled and burned, her eyes wide with fear and pain. But it was not her that made Eric's heart stop. In her arms she held a small alien child. The child was not moving, and its skin was turning pale blue. The alien mother looked up at Eric with desperate eyes. "Please," she said again, her voice cracked and shaking. "You are human, yes. Please fix my child. I will give you anything you want. Just save her." Eric knelt down next to them. He opened his medkit and scanned the child. The results were not good. The child's heart was slowing. Oxygen levels were dropping fast. Whatever happened to her was killing her. "Quickly, this is bad," Eric whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. "I need to stabilize her now." He started working fast. His hands moved quickly, pressing tools and pulling out small machines. The alien mother watched with tears in her eyes. She held the child tightly, but not so tight to stop Eric's work. "Her name is Alira," the mother said softly. "She is my only child. Please do not let her die." Eric didn't answer. He was too focused. The child's breathing was shallow, and her heartbeat weak. He used a small injector to try and restart her lungs, but the device sparked and shut down. "What the?" he said and looked closer. Something in the child's blood was rejecting the tech. It was like her body was fighting the machines. Eric turned to the mother. "What is she? What's wrong with her body?" The mother looked away for a second, then spoke. "She is not just one species. She is mixed, half from my side, half from another species, a secret one. We were not supposed to create her, but we did. And now they want her dead." Eric understood. This child was a threat to some powerful people, or maybe a hope. Either way, she was in danger. He grabbed a small resuscitation pad and placed it on the child's chest. He pumped carefully, counting each. "Press 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, kid, breathe on." The fifth press, something happened. A bright pulse of energy jumped from the child's chest into Eric's hand. It didn't hurt, but it felt strange, like a spark of life, a memory, a connection. He pulled back, shocked, and looked at his palm. It was glowing softly for a second. Then it faded. The child gasped for air, her eyes open, glowing faintly. She stared at Eric for a moment. Her small hand reached out and touched his arm. Eric saw a flash, a vision. A moment in the future. He was holding her hand and standing on a mountain, and she was smiling. He blinked, and it was gone. The mother smiled weakly. "She is bonded to you now. You touched her with care. You gave part of your life to her." She accepted. Eric didn't know what to say. He looked at the child, who was breathing better now, and then at the mother, who had tears running down her cheeks. "Thank you," she whispered. "You did not walk away. You stayed. That means more than any reward I could offer." Suddenly, a loud roar came from the sky. Ships were approaching, 3 dark shapes moving fast through the clouds. Mother's face turned pale. "They have found us. They want her back." Eric stood up and lifted the child gently in his arms. "Where can we run?" The mother forced herself up, using the wall to stand. "I will show you. But you must trust me now." Eric nodded. He didn't know where this path would take him, but he knew one thing: he was not letting anyone take the child away. Not now, not ever. The blood that burned. The underground tunnel was dark, cold, and filled with the smell of rust and dust. Eric followed the alien mother as she limped ahead, her breath shallow and her movements slow. The child, Alira, was wrapped in a silver blanket in Eric's arms, her eyes barely open, but glowing softly like dim stars. They moved through shadows, trying to stay hidden above them. The sounds of engines and searchlights echoed. The alien bounty ships were scanning every ruin, every crack in the city. They had one goal: bring the hybrid child back, dead or alive. Eric's mind was spinning. He had treated wounded soldiers before, but never carried something so strange, so powerful, so alive in a different way. He glanced down at Alira. Her fingers were curled around his shirt even in her weakened state. Suddenly, Eric felt a sharp sting in his arm. He gasped and stopped holding Alira tighter. He looked down and saw a small glowing mark just under his skin, spreading slowly like a living tattoo. "What is this?" he asked, his voice tight with fear. The alien mother turned her head. "I told you, she bonded with you. When you gave her life, part of your essence mixed with hers. Her blood has touched yours." Eric took a step back. "What does that mean?" "It means you are not just her savior. The mother said you are her guardian now, and her protector. If she dies, so will a part of you." Eric was silent. He felt the warmth on his skin growing hotter. It wasn't burning him, but it wasn't normal either. His body was reacting to something alien. They reached a small metal door, hidden behind broken pipes. The mother pressed a code, and the door hissed open. Inside was a tiny shelter, old and dusty, but safe for now. Eric laid Alira down on a small bed and checked her pulse. It was steady but weak. Her skin shimmered slightly like it was changing colors. Mother sat against the wall, breathing hard. "You should leave her with me now. It's too dangerous. They will come for her, and for anyone helping her." Eric stared at her. "Are you asking me to leave Harry?" "I'm asking you to survive," the mother said softly. "You don't owe her anything." "Yes, I do," Eric replied. "I made a promise to save her, not to leave her. The moment it gets hard." The mother looked at him with tired eyes. "Then you need to know something more. Her blood is not just different, it is royal. She was made, not born. She carries DNA from the Council's most powerful species. They made her to unite the worlds through fear or peace." Eric stood silent. "That's why they want her, because she could end everything, or control everything," the mother said. Her voice dropped lower. "And now that you've touched her blood, you are part of that fate." Suddenly, a sharp beep echoed through the room. Eric pulled out his scanner. One of the tracking devices in his medkit had been activated. Someone had locked onto them. "They're here," he whispered. Without waiting, the mother stood despite her wounds and grabbed a small energy blade. "We must run." Eric lifted Alira, who stirred slightly in his arms. Her eyes opened and met his again. She didn't speak, but in his mind he felt a whisper. "They will hurt you. Don't let them." He stumbled back, shocked. "Did you hear that?" he asked the mother. She nodded. "She's speaking into your thoughts. The bond is stronger now. You are more than just connected." Footsteps approached outside. Metal boots slanting against concrete. Eric moved quickly toward the back of the shelter. He found an old maintenance hatch, barely wide enough for one person. "This way," he said, helping the mother through first. Then he slipped in himself, holding Alira tight against his chest. They crawled through darkness, rats and insects brushing against their arms. Eric's muscles screamed in pain, but he kept moving. Behind them, a blast shook the tunnel. The hunters had found the shelter. It would only be a minute before they followed. As they reached the surface again, Eric saw the sky glowing with enemy lights. Ships hovered low, scanning for movement. Then he saw something strange. The scanner in his hand flickered, showing two heartbeats. One was Alira's, the other was his, but both were sensed. Identical rhythms. He swallowed hard and looked at the child. She was not just changing him. She was becoming part of him, and somewhere deep inside his own blood something was burning. Something alien, but he didn't stop running. Not ever. Asterisk. The bounty on her head. Asterisk. The night was silent, but the silence felt fake, too calm, like the world was holding its breath, waiting to strike. Eric moved carefully across the remains of an old spaceport, hidden beneath the broken ceiling of a hangar. Stars above were covered by thick clouds, but he could still see the blinking lights of ships scanning the land. Searching, he held Alira close to his chest. Her small body was warmer now, glowing a little stronger. The silver in her veins shimmered. Under her skin, Eric could feel her heartbeat matching his own, and it scared him more than he wanted to admit. The alien mother moved beside him. Slower now, her wound reopened. Her breath was shallow, but her eyes were sharp. She gripped her blade tightly and kept watching every corner. They slipped into a quiet room filled with broken chairs and old flight equipment. Eric set Alira down gently on a dusty chair and looked at the mother. "We can't keep running like this," he said. "They're too fast too many." She nodded. "They won't stop until they have her." "Why? What do they want with her?" Eric asked again. The mother looked at him with tired, sorrowful eyes. Her voice was quiet. "They want to erase what she is, a mix of bloods that were never meant to join. She threatens their control over the old ways. The High Council fears her power. And now that you're bonded with her, they fear you too." Eric sat down and rubbed his forehead. "I didn't sign up for this. I was just trying to save a child." "Did save her," the mother said gently, "and now she's saving you too." Suddenly a loud metallic click echoed through the room. Eric jumped and turned his med scanner toward the door. Movement, 3 figures approaching fast. "Get down," he hissed to the mother. Hid behind old crates as the door burst open. 3 bounty hunters entered, tall, armored, and carrying shock rifles. Their helmets glowed red as they scanned the room. One of them spoke in a deep growl. "The hybrid is close. We can smell the bond on them." Human Eric held his breath, clutching Alira tightly. The child didn't cry. She looked up at him with calm eyes and whispered into his thoughts again, "Let them take me something." Inside, Eric changed in that moment. The fear turned into fire, not anger but something protective. He moved silently behind a control panel, grabbed a heavy pipe, and waited as one of the bounty hunters passed by. Eric struck hard. The metal pipe slammed into the back of the helmet with a loud crack. The hunter fell. But the other 2 turned immediately. The mother leaped from the shadows with her blade slashing the second hunter's arm. The third aimed his rifle, but before he could shoot, Eric threw the pipe into the weapon, knocking it aside. "Run!" Eric shouted to the mother. "Grab the child." She picked up Alira as Eric blocked the hunters with old equipment, tossing chairs and panels in their path. They ran out into the night again, the cold air hitting their faces like a slap behind them. The bounty hunters cursed and fired but missed. They disappeared into the shadows, heading toward the edge of the old city as they paused to breathe. Eric finally asked, "How do we stop them? How do we protect her if everyone wants her gone?" The mother looked toward the mountains far away. "There's one place left, one man who can help. He owes me a life." "Who is he?" Eric asked. "A rebel, a scientist. The one who helped create Alira." The mother said. "He knows how to hide her properly, but he is not easy to find." Eric looked down at the child. Her eyes were closed again, but she held his hand like it was the only thing keeping her alive. "Then let's go find him," Eric said. "Wherever he is." The mother nodded and pointed toward the old star bridge. "We take that across the wastelands, then north past the silent towers. That's where he hides." As they walked away, Eric's scanner beeped again. A new signal. A bounty notice. He checked the message and froze. His own face was on the screen. "Wanted dead or alive. Reward 1 million credits. They put a bounty on me too," he said quietly. The mother looked back without surprise. "You touched her blood. You're one of us now." "They won't stop until they erase everything that connects to her." Eric clenched his jaw and kept walking. "Then they'll have to try harder because I'm not giving her up. Not ever." The hunted and the bonded snow began to fall over the ruins of the northern towers. The air was sharp and silent, carrying a chill that reached deep into Eric's bones. He pulled Alira closer under his coat. Her small body felt like a warm star against the bitter cold. She didn't cry. She hadn't made a single sound since they fled the bounty hunters 2 nights ago. Alien mother walked ahead, slowly leaving shallow footprints in the snow. Her leg was worse now. The blood had stopped, but her skin was pale and her breathing short. Eric wanted to stop and help her, but she waved him forward each time. "We're close," she said through clenched teeth. "He lives beyond the towers, in a bunker buried beneath the ice. He will help us. He has to." Eric didn't trust her completely, but he believed in Alira, and wherever she led he would follow. She was more than a child now, more than a patient. Something inside her was changing. So was he. He hadn't told the mother about the dreams, the flashes in his sleep of battles, never fought, of strange cities of Alira. Older, stronger, holding his hand, calling him father, not in fear but with pride. He shook the thoughts away when he saw the smoke, a thin trail rising from beneath the broken pillars of ice. The mother whispered. He's there, but we must approach carefully. He doesn't like surprises. They reached a stone door half covered in snow. The mother tapped a rhythm on the surface. A moment passed. Then a mechanical voice answered. Identified. Mother pressed her hand against a scanner. Her fingers trembled. Lyra, and the code is Frost. Door hissed open, slowly revealing a narrow metal tunnel lit with blue light. They entered quietly as the cold was replaced by warm, recycled air. The walls were lined with old machines and weapons tools from wars long forgotten. A tall figure stepped out of the shadows, a pale-skinned alien with cybernetic eyes and metal arms. He looked at them with suspicion until his eyes landed on Lyra. Then he froze. Is that her? He asked. His voice cracked with disbelief. She survived, Lyra said, falling to her knees, and the human saved her. The man moved closer, scanning Eric from head to toe. He paused at the glowing mark on Eric's arm and narrowed his eyes. You bonded with her, didn't you? Eric nodded slowly. I didn't mean to, it just happened. Then you're marked forever, the man said quietly. You're not just her guardian. You're part of the prophecy. What prophecy? Eric asked, confused. The scientist turned away, motioning them to follow. He led them to a chamber filled with screens and strange tanks. Inside one of them, a floating body almost identical to Lyra, except lifeless and gray. She wasn't the first, the man said. There were others, attempts to create peace through genetics, mixing bloodlines to unite enemy species. But they all failed until her. Eric stared at the body floating in the tank. What makes her different? She chose her bond, the man replied. The others were forced connections, artificial. But Lyra reached out to you by will. That makes her more than a creation. She's real. Lyra touched the tank softly. They'll keep coming, won't they? Even here, the man nodded grimly. The council will burn this world to ashes if it means killing her. But maybe it's time they learn she's not alone anymore. He turned to Eric. There's something you need to see. He led Eric to a small scanner chamber and ran a blood analysis. The results appeared instantly and made Eric's heart pound. What is this? Eric asked. Your blood is changing, the man said calmly. Her cells are rewriting parts of your DNA, not killing you, just merging. Is that bad? It means if she dies you will too, the man said. And if she evolves, so will you. Eric looked down at Lyra, who had climbed into his lap. Her head rested on his chest, and her eyes were glowing brighter than before. Suddenly alarms blared across the bunker. Red lights flashed. The screen showed incoming ships, 5 of them, no markings, no flags. They've found us, the scientist said, his voice shaking, already grabbing weapons. Eric stood and lifted Lyra. Let's finish what we started. You can't fight them alone, the man said. I'm not alone, Eric replied, looking at Lyra. Becca's in his heart. He felt it now clearly. She wasn't just in his blood. She was inside his soul, and he would protect her. Not now, ever. The power within. The ceiling trembled as dust and broken ice rained down from above. Red lights flashed across the control panels in the bunker. The scanners showed 5 enemy ships circling above, silent, without banners, their weapons armed, and targeting the last coordinates pinned by the child's signature. They were here for one thing. Eric stood tall with Lyra in his arms. The child was awake now. Her eyes glowed steadily, brighter than before. Not like a flashlight, not mechanical. It was deeper, like a soft flame burning just beneath her skin. She didn't look afraid. The scientist Karn moved quickly, typing commands into the terminal. They're preparing to breach the outer shell. We have 15 minutes before they're inside. Eric looked at him. Can you hide her? Smuggle her out? Karn shook his head. If I try, they'll detect the life signal. There's no more hiding, human. You've already crossed the line. You carry her mark. Wherever you go, they will follow. Lyra grabbed a plasma rifle from the wall and checked the charge. Her movements were slow, but her face was full of fire. Then we make them pay for every step. Eric wasn't a soldier. He was a medic. But he didn't hesitate. He handed Alira gently to Karn and took a rifle from the rack. "Keep her safe. If we fall, you run. You take her and disappear." But Alira reached out and grabbed Eric's wrist. "No," she said, not in his mind this time, but with her voice. Soft, shaky, but clear. "I stay with you." Eric knelt beside her. "You need to survive, Alira. They want you because you're special." "But you're mine," she said, and touched his chest. In that moment, Eric felt something inside him ignite. It wasn't heat. It wasn't pain. It was her flowing through his blood, through his bones. The mark on his arm burned brightly. Blue veins of light raced up his neck and down his chest. He gasped as his vision shifted. He saw the entire bunker in layers, the air, currents, the weapons, the energy in the walls. He saw everything. "What's happening?" he whispered. Karn backed away, stunned. "She's activating the bond. She's unlocking your potential." Eric stood. He felt different. His arms didn't look stronger, but they were. His mind was sharper, his senses deeper. Even his heartbeat matched Alira's now. "She's rewriting you," Karn said in awe. "Not just linking, merging." Eric turned to Alira. "Let's give them a fight." As the door blew open and smoke poured into the hallway, the enemy entered in formation, fully armored, helmets locked, rifles raised. The leader shouted, "Surrender the hybrid child, or all of you die." Eric stepped into the open. "No." "They fired." Eric raised his hand. The bullets stopped midair, hung there like they had hit a wall of time. Then, with a pulse from his palm, they reversed direction and shot back toward the attackers. 3 fell instantly. Lyra charged from the side with her plasma rifle, taking out another 2. The child watched silently, her hands glowing brighter and brighter. Eric moved faster than he thought possible, disarming one enemy with ease and flipping him to the ground. His body responded like it knew what to do. Like he wasn't fighting alone. He was fighting with her. Suddenly, the leader tossed a grenade into the hallway. It bounced once, beeping red. Before anyone could react, Alira stepped forward and opened her hands. The grenade froze, then disintegrated into dust. Eric stared, breathless. "How?" "She's evolving," Karn said behind him. "This is just the beginning." But more enemies poured in, 10, then 20. The hallway shook with the sound of boots and war cries. Eric turned to the others. "Fall back to the lab." Lyra was bleeding again but nodded. "We hold them here." Eric covered their retreat, shielding them with energy bursts and strange pulses he couldn't explain. He didn't need to. Alira stood behind him, feeding him strength without words. At the lab entrance, Karn hit a switch, sealing the blast doors. "They'll breach it in minutes," he said. "There's only one way left." Eric looked at Alira. She looked back at him and smiled. "I can protect you," she whispered. Then her body began to lift from the ground. Light poured from her eyes, her chest, her palms. The air turned electric. Eric reached for her, but Karn held him back. "Let her do it." A sound like thunder cracked through the bunker, then silence. When Eric opened his eyes, the walls were scorched, but the enemy was gone. No bodies. No weapons. Only silence. Alira floated slowly back to the floor. Her eyes dim again. She looked tired but alive. Eric caught her before she fell. "You saved us," he whispered. Alira nodded weakly. "Because you didn't leave me." Eric held her close. He didn't say the words out loud, but he thought them so clearly. She didn't need to hear them to know. Not now. Not ever. The price of protection. The sky above the frozen wastes turned golden as dawn broke. But for Eric, the warmth never reached his skin. He sat inside the dim bunker lab, holding Alira close. She was resting, breathing steady, but pale. The light inside her had dimmed since the battle. Her body had saved them, but at a cost. Karn stood near a shattered console, trying to repair the damage. Sparks flew as he reconnected wires, but the main signal system was beyond repair. "They'll return," Karn said quietly. "Reinforcements always come. You bought us time, not peace." Eric looked up. His eyes were tired, darker now, almost glowing in low light. The changes in his body had continued overnight. His strength hadn't faded. His senses remained sharp. And deep inside, something whispered to him, Alira's presence, even in sleep. "How long does she have?" Eric asked. Karn hesitated. "Not long. She gave too much of herself. Her hybrid body is unstable. Without the core serum I made during her creation, her cells will collapse." Eric's jaw tightened. "Then we get it." "It's not that simple," Karn said. "The serum is locked in a secure research vault under council control. No one gets in, not even me." Lyra coughed from the side, sitting against the wall, wrapped in bandages. "We'll make them let us in." Karn turned to her. "You're both fugitives now. There's a galactic bounty on the girl, and now on Eric too. Anyone who sees you will shoot first and ask nothing." Eric gently brushed a strand of hair from Illyra's face. "She saved the universe's enemies, and still they hunt her." Karn nodded grimly. "That's how fear works." Eric stood. "Then we stop running." Karn frowned. "You want to walk into the vault?" "No," Eric said. "I want to send a message to the council, not a plea." "A warning." Lyra raised an eyebrow. "What kind of warning?" Eric looked down at the glowing lines on his skin, the bond signature pulsing like a second heartbeat, one that shows them we're not scared anymore. Hours later, they arrived at an abandoned comms array, buried in snow but partially intact. Karn connected the controls and rerouted an open transmission to the High Council network. Eric stood in front of the camera with Alira in his arms. Her eyes opened for a moment, just enough to meet his. Then the signal went live. "This is Eric Hale," he said. "Human, medic, protector." He paused. "You've labeled this child a weapon. A mistake. A danger to your power. You hunted her, tried to kill her, and threatened those who helped her." He raised his arm. The bond mark glowed bright across his skin. "She chose me. Not as a soldier, not as a tool, but as a guardian. Her bond runs through my blood. So if you want her—" He looked into the camera, his voice low and steady. "You'll have to destroy me first." The transmission ended. Lyra stepped forward. "That message will paint a bigger target on your back than ever before." Eric nodded. "Good. Let them come." Karn was silent. Then he sighed. "There's one place left, one I never thought I'd return to." Eric looked at him. "The vault?" Karn nodded. "It's under Axis Prime, heavily guarded. A black site under council control. But I helped build the security system. If we can get close, I can break in." "How close?" Eric asked. "Within 300 meters, Karn said. "After that, I'll need time." Eric looked at Alira, who was still resting against his chest. "Then we make time." They stole a transport ship that night, an old mining vessel rigged with scrap metal for extra armor. It was slow, but invisible to most scans. Duraxis Prime was dark when they entered orbit. The planet's surface glowed with green-blue veins of energy. The vault was hidden beneath a dead volcano, with only one access point through a tunnel guarded by drones. They landed far from the scanners and walked the rest of the way. Alira opened her eyes again as they neared the entrance. She was weaker now, but her hand still clung to Eric's arm. "I'm sorry," she whispered in his thoughts. "Don't be," Eric answered. "You've already done more than anyone ever could." "I didn't want to hurt you," she said, her voice fading. "You didn't," Eric whispered. "You gave me purpose." Lyra and Karn moved ahead toward the access door. Eric followed, holding Alira close. His every step felt heavier. Not from weight, but from meaning. Because he knew this mission wouldn't just cost time, it might cost everything, but for her he was ready. Not now, not ever would he let her fall. Asterisk. The last door asterisk, the vault doors of Duraxis. Prime rose like mountains from the black rock, silent and menacing under the starless sky. The ground rumbled slightly beneath Eric's feet as hidden machinery deep below the surface adjusted its sensors, detecting new intruders. The entrance shimmered with green light, alive with old security code and deadly force fields. Eric stood before it, his heart pounding like thunder in his chest. Illyra was in his arms, barely conscious. Her glow had faded to almost nothing now. Each breath she took was slow, shallow. Her skin was colder. Her presence in his thoughts, once loud and bright, was now just a whisper, like a candle about to die. Behind him, Lyra and Karn were prepping their gear. Lyra had armed herself with 2 plasma blades. Karn worked on a data spike the size of his arm, mumbling code strings under his breath. "We've got 5 minutes once I plug this in," Karn said without turning. "After that, their failsafe will trigger. If we're still inside, we all fry." Eric nodded. "That's enough. Just get me in." Karn looked at him, his voice softer. "You don't have to go in there alone." Eric looked down at Illyra's face. "Yes, I do." He stepped forward, pressing his hand against the scanner plate. A red light blinked. Access denied. But then, something changed. The mark on Eric's arm began to glow brighter than ever before. Lines of light spread across his palm and into the scanner. The machine paused, then chirped. "Biosignature recognized. Hybrid bonded entity. Door access granted." The mountain split with a deep grinding noise. Steel and rock moved like slow giants. The path into the vault opened, revealing a long corridor glowing with eerie white light. Eric turned to the others. "Stay here. If I don't return in 10 minutes. "No," Lyra said, stepping forward. "You're not going in without backup." Eric was about to protest when Illyra stirred. She whispered in his thoughts. Too weak to speak aloud. "No more fighting. Just go. Just save me, please." Eric nodded. He walked into the vault alone. The hall was quiet, the air too clean, too still. As he moved deeper, the walls changed, showing glass cases, cryochambers, test tubes holding failed prototypes. Some were humanoid. Others looked barely alive, experiments, half-formed ideas. All abandoned. At the end of the corridor, a final door awaited. This one had no scanner, just a small round port. Eric didn't hesitate. He placed his hand on it. The bond mark flared. The door melted open. Inside, the serum chamber waited. A single vial of glowing blue fluid stood on a pedestal. Above it, a holographic message flickered on. "Warning. Subject E09, Illyra, termination recommended. Cross-species bond detected. Contamination level high. Execute purge." Eric stepped forward and ignored the warning. He reached for the vial. The moment he touched it, alarms screamed. Red lights spun across the ceiling. Gas hissed. The walls opened to reveal Drone 6, maybe 7, armed and scanning. Eric didn't flinch. He held the vial in one hand and Illyra in the other. "You're not taking her." One of the drones fired a stun blast. Eric raised his arm. The bond surged out. The shot bounced off an invisible field. Another drone launched a spike dart meant to paralyze. Eric didn't move. The dart froze mid-air and turned to dust. Then the drones paused. Their lights flickered, and one by one, they shut down. Eric turned around. Behind him, Illyra floated, her eyes wide open now, her skin glowing again. Weak, but conscious. She had saved him. Even in the brink of death, she had protected him. He knelt and held her gently. "I've got it. The serum. You're going to be okay." She smiled faintly. "You believed in me." Tears filled Eric's eyes. Always. He injected the serum into her arm. The fluid shimmered, pulsing through her veins. Illyra's body jerked once, then relaxed. Color returned to her skin. Her breathing steadied. Then her voice rang clearly, no longer in his mind, but out loud. I feel alive. Eric laughed, overwhelmed. You are, kid. You're alive. They exited the vault together. Karn and Lyra were waiting, weapons ready, but lowered the moment they saw her walking, steady on her feet, hand in hand with Eric. She did it. Lyra whispered. No, Karn said. They did it. Eric turned to look at the stars above the ruined vault. He held Lyra's hand tightly. Let them send ships. Let them send armies, he said. We're not running anymore. Lyra looked up at him, her voice calm and sure. Because now, they're the ones who should be afraid. For the first time in her life, Lyra was free. And for the first time in his, Eric understood what it meant to truly fight for something worth dying for. Not a mission, not a medal. A life, not now. Not ever would he let her go.